Hey friends, this is Crystal with Booth Crush. Welcome back, whether you are new or returning. We share business resources, tips, and tricks for booth and store owners. We also have a blog, a Facebook page, a Facebook group. You can find us on Instagram and Pinterest. So come join us. Around the 1st of March of this year, we shared this photo, and you guys really liked it. And I think it's because of these vintage conference attendance boards. They are so popular in home decor, but maybe you just liked the whole vintage vibe of the photo. So today I wanted to share where I took that photo. It's at a beautiful little white church, a little country church in White County. It is actually in Nacoochee Valley, Georgia. And I just thought it would be fun to share some photos and videos. This is actually in the area that Dawn lives in. And I know some of you may be wondering, like, okay, why are you sharing this? It has nothing to do with junking or antique booths or stores. But in a way, it does. Because you see, I grew up in a little small town called Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is located in Fannin County. And I spent an awful lot of my teen years hitting the back roads going over to visit a little town called Helen, Georgia. Now, Helen is about an hour from Blue Ridge, but I used to get out and junk and go to antique stores and hit all of these little folk art shops. And that's basically how I discovered this adorable little church back in my teen years, and I have been visiting ever since. And if you haven't visited these two little mountain towns, Blue Ridge, Georgia, and Helen, you definitely need to put them on your bucket list, and I will link them down below. And I'm so sorry for the glare, but as I mentioned, this is a historic church. It was published in this beautiful coffee table book in 2016. I really need to get my own copy, but I checked this one out from the library. And this book was written by Sonny Seals and Georgia S. Hart. And if you love old churches and the history and the decor, you're going to love this book. We definitely need a second volume because this is just the tip of the iceberg to all of the old churches we have in Georgia. And here it is in the back of the book. This is an alphabetical order by county. You see it's just a beautiful Gothic style church. And here's a little write-up about it. It was built in 1872. And I noticed in this photo, you can now see the window, but in my photo that I took in 2006, this large print is covering the window. So hopefully that print found a new home in the church. And now this beautiful window is showing. But speaking of beautiful windows, look at all this wavy glass. And I think it's really hard to see on camera, but in person, that glass is all original with the beautiful stained glass at the top. And this church is still active. I would love to go and visit some Sunday. And it's across the road from this historic Indian mound, which I will tell you more about in a minute. But first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Dawn and her hubby. They took time out of their busy day to go and get some new footage and photos for you guys. This was shot last week, so April 2023, for anyone that might be watching years down the road. This is just such a beautiful little church, and it is one of the most photographed churches in North Georgia, or maybe Georgia. But it reminds me of the little church I went to as a little girl. Of course, this one is way more beautiful than the one I went to. But look at this crystal doorknob. I'm not sure if that's original or not. But I remember when I discovered this church in my teens, you could go up to Helen and there was no traffic at all. But as this church has been featured in different magazines and on TV, it's definitely on the map now, and lots of people know about it. So all of the fall leaf watchers go up here, and it is a nightmare. It's a little 2-lane highway, and traffic backs up quickly. But there's a lot to see and do up in this area. There's lots of cabin rentals, and of course you have Helen, Georgia, which is the little Swiss village. And that alone has a lot of little things to do, a lot of shops, a lot of little bakeries and restaurants. And then you have the Habersham Winery. You have the Yonah Mountain Vineyards, Unicoi State Park, and of course the Hardman Farm State Historic Site. Now the Hardman Farm was the home of Captain James, oh my goodness, my mind just went blank, James Nichols. He started construction on this church and the home. And you can tour the farm now. But I noticed in my photo in 2006, the shutters were missing. And now they're back up. And look at this old steeple. And then there's also the Cabbage Patch Hospital. I think it's still open to the public. But a lot of antique shops up in this area. A lot of things to see and do. This is definitely a weekend trip. This is not a day trip. And you could really probably spend a week here because there's just so much to see and do. But let's go inside. Look at this beautiful architecture. And then to the left, you can go up the stairs, which I will go back and show you that in a moment. I think Dawn did a really good job. She's not a videographer. I'm usually the one behind the camera filming, and I get too speedy. I know you guys call me on it all the time, and I'm sorry, but I think she did a really good job. I told her to make sure and go slow, except for her getting her finger in the way right there. I'm just kidding. But I told her, I said, go slow and get lots of detail shots. So she did. She's actually better at this than I am. I just get so happy and excited, and I'm just whipping the camera around too fast. But look at this old Bible. You know this Bible has been well loved. I'm going to include a little snippet about the history of the church at the very end of this video if you guys want to read it. It's just too much to read. I don't want to bore you, so I'll leave that at the end. And then I'm also going to have some photos that Dawn took and then some photos that I took. And then also I wanted to mention there's Nora Mills Granary. That's a fun place. And there's also lots of hiking trails and waterfalls. And look at all of these old pews. You know, I sit here and I wonder, like, how many people have come through these doors, sat on these pews. And I'm the same way with old houses. Like, when I look at really old houses, I'm sitting there wondering, like, how many families live there? You know, did people get married there? Did they have babies there? How many people died? I don't know. I guess I'm a weirdo. And look at this beautiful doorknob. And this was right after Easter, so they still have the Easter cross up. And every year they change that. And you can see it's just so beautiful. And then here's a screenshot from the website Historic Rural Churches. They're the ones that did the big, beautiful book. They also have a Facebook page, and I'm going to link them down below if you guys want to go check out their Facebook page. They have a lot of photos over on their Facebook page that are not featured in the book. And of course, I want to give a shout out to the photographer on these beautiful photos. It was Randy Clegg. He did a great job. These are just some stunning photos. And then there's a little snippet in there about the church. And you can click the drop-down menu and read more, but you'll have to do that on their website. And this next batch of photos I took back in 2006 with my little point-and-shoot camera. This was before I bought my big fancy camera. Of course, they're all taken vertically. And then there's that beautiful crystal doorknob. And this is my sweet mama sitting on one of the pews. She picked up one of the songbooks and started singing to the top of her lungs. I was up in the top of the church. And I will treasure these photos for the rest of my life. I cried when I was listening to her sing. It was so beautiful and such a special moment. There was no one else in the church but the two of us. And then this is at the back of the church. They have a little cemetery back there. And then this next batch are the ones that Dawn took. And I'm going to let you guys sit back and watch the rest of the video. And I will see you guys in the next one.